up? No, legitimately, what is up? How's everybody doing? That's Church of Eight Wheels. We're just hanging out. It's a Saturday. Very thankful. I'm very thankful that you're here. Let me know how it's going. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Sometimes I'll end up doing a whole video and it turns out nobody can hear me. So I see people filling up the chat room. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I love doing these. If you're watching on Twitter, welcome. If you ever want to talk, if you want to comment, ask me a question, a really good way to just ask me is go to YouTube, hit subscribe, and you can catch me here in the stream. I'm really not this active. I actually normally just stream twice a week, which is, generally Tuesday, Fridays, generally around that time, kind of light kind of, I'll do a little bit of a market overview, light one, but variety show. We just kind of just hang out, but it's a Bitcoin live sale this week. And there's just like a day and a half left, not even a day and a half left. This is, I'm a founding analyst, and for 7 years I've been doing market reports at Bitcoin Live, and I'm super proud of the work I do there. I do a twice a week full market report. Even when I'm traveling, I'm sick, I'm on vacation. I'll definitely skip YouTube. And I'll skip Twitter and all that, of course, but Bitcoin Live, I never skip. So that's why I'm super active this week. If you haven't seen any of my stuff, some people don't even know I've got just a massive educational library on my YouTube channel. I've created a lot of good stuff. Timeless education, things that regardless of the price, you can learn a lot from. So I published 4 books, and Trading Wisdom, you've maybe heard of all of them. Trading Wisdom, I've got a free version of that. My entire cancer memoir is free. And so my 3rd book is called Trading Quotes, and I've been doing the whole book, for free. I'm reading it one chapter at a time. This is heavy on trading psychology, risk management stuff. I think you'll enjoy that. And then just straight up TA, classical charting and candlestick theory. Make sure you've watched the Masterclass, webinar playlist, all of these. These will really help jumpstart your TA and probably save you a couple of years. I think this is the best alpha I have here is going to be this playlist. Everything else is really good. But, thanks for hanging out, of course. And if you're looking for somewhere to trade, check out BingX, my favorite exchange. So what do we think about Bitcoin? What do we think about Ethereum? Maybe you can let me know in the chat room, what you think as well. And we can incorporate you into the conversation today. I might do a spaces later. We'll see if I have enough energy. Again, I'm only this active because of the sale. Now, Bitcoin right now kind of heading back towards that neck base test. We talked about the 100K level. When people were, and I'm in my view prematurely, depending on how smart you want to sound, prematurely drawing that head and shoulders with an ascending neck base. In my view, when this is happening here, you got to wait for something like this. You got to wait for a good horizontal test. I rarely will play an ascending or descending line neck base on a head and shoulders. Okay, I really just am a horizontal trader. It's easier to structure my risk. I know I'm going to make mistakes. So back here, right? So back here, right? People were drawing it, but boom, we got that price response, and also at the same time, we had the MA50, right? This orange line here, which is MA50 means basically the last 50 candles, you average it, you add them up and divide by 50. It's equally weighted, right? Versus an EMA like this green one where the most recent candle has more price weighting, makes it more sensitive to the price. Simple moving average it's a little bit of a bigger deal, right? For the price to interact with a simple moving average versus an EMA, right? If you have an EMA, the whole point of an EMA it's pulling the MA to the price because it's EMA, it's exponential. Like the most recent candle has more price weighting, and so that's why longer term moving averages like 50 and 200 should be simple moving average, right? In classical charting, the trend is the 200 simple moving average, right? Rising to 200 MA. So when we see that 50 MA tag lining up with the 100K level, we say, okay, this is a clear range low. We also had that established with that tag, and then right shoulder violation. Well, the thing is that people calling head and shoulders bears. Okay, if you're a bear calling head and shoulders, you need to also know where's my invalidation. Where does that fail? Where am I wrong? That's on the right shoulder. That's on the right shoulder invalidation, right? So it invalidated and then it chopped through it. So anybody playing, because normally, right, in any kind of construction for head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, ideally most volume on the left shoulder, a little bit less in the head, a little bit less in the right shoulder in the breakout, ideally a horizontal neck base. Technically, ascending does better percentage-wise, but it's harder to play in my view with the inability to really define a good trigger. But regardless, breakout level and invalidation level right shoulder, right? Any pattern you want to know where it invalidates if you're going to try to use it. And again, it's not the pattern don't matter. It's just levels. The pattern is just something fun to talk about. It's really a price level. And so here, 100K. 100K, SMA 50. So what do we have now? What does it all mean? Okay. Well, it's a pretty clear weekly picture, and it's been, especially since we had this inside bar, right, on the 26th of May. This told us, hey, we're going to start consolidating, right? We're going to start a consolidation phase. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know high and tight. We don't know a falling channel. We don't know equilibrium, chop. We don't exactly know, but we know we're going to consolidate just because of the suggestion of the inside bar and what that tells you in terms of the momentum of the trend, right? And that's it's candlestick theory, but it's really classical charting because you see the momentum has just slowed down and then pauses. Now, that's still good for bulls because trends tend to continue and any kind of move needs to consolidate regardless. So, and I'm just setting the table here. Then I'm going to jump into the chat room and say what's up to everybody. We started out with the inside bar and a couple doji and basically retaining all these price gains and trading above the EMA 8. So we're getting to the point where we are testing essentially primary uptrend support on the weekly chart, still high and tight. And you're stepping back and looking at still quite a beautiful trend, not even at the MA20, which is the middle Bollinger Band, equally weighted 20 period, and pretty well above what would look to be kind of the next logical level should 100K fail. So now we'll zoom in back to the daily. We get a sense, roughly, I drew this poorly, roughly around the 96K zone. I actually think it's most well illustrated on the 4 hour, right? You can see it a little bit, you can see it best on the 4 hour. So in any case, we're kind of waiting to see what those tests look like. It's an uptrend. Fear not consolidation. You need consolidation to move higher. Meanwhile, Ethereum weak, super weak. I've been incredibly concerned about this price. Not concerned like I'm concerned about my friend, but like I've been talking about this thing flashing warning signs. It's setting up for a tower top, right? Move up, down, probably to the midpoint of the candle, 2100, 2150. Strong move up. Massive indecision by the market, inability to maintain bullish momentum, all these spinning tops after that advance is massive warning sign. We'll see if it follows through, but I've been quite cautious and looking to roll over here a bit. All right, let's see what's going on. Let's check in with the chat room. I've been ranting for a while. I wanted to just give you a few quick thoughts. I've been super active this week. Just a day or so, day and a half left. I do not stream every day like I have this week. I mean, I want to be out with nature. It's the summer, right? But I'm glad to talk to you today. And folks, every time I do one of these and you show up in the chat, it's great. I love to talk to humans, not bots. I actually just did I did like a podcast or whatever. I did like a stream with another popular gentleman today, and you'll see it out next week. I think you guys will like that. So Brandon says, Cheds, I've always wondered where you get your Bitcoin swag. Honestly, I've had this stuff for several years. I think it was Amazon. I'm pretty sure I got it from Amazon. And a friend may or may not have given me, one or more of these items too. So, but most you could buy some cool stuff, some cool Bitcoin. Like if you want Bitcoin swag, I don't have any like secret inside. I have just the same, access to that market that you do. You can just buy it. You can look it up. What's up, Peter, Martwan, Skandar, Nick, Brandon? How's everybody doing? Dundas Chocolate. Chocolate says happy Saturday. Happy any day. Happy any day. See, Peter says read Ched's books. Thank you. And you can read them. You can also check them out for free. I mean, I'm trying, when I finish this playlist, 3 of my 4 books will be free. The new one's the Trading Journal. I didn't even really mention it or plug it. People love it. Reviews are in. It's doing well. It's essentially a workbook. It's teaching you how to learn from your mistakes, how to identify trade setups, why you should use a journal. It's a really cool book. So let's see. Phil Shark says, I have your Trading Wisdom book. Love it, but your playlist says 50 lessons. Correct. The book is 50 lessons, but last one was 18. Are you ever going to finish the playlist? I'm really glad you brought that up. So I actually do. I was kind of kicking around the idea of going back and maybe adding a couple more lessons. I don't foresee doing this entire book because I kind of want to, leave a taste out there. But the rest will be completely free. Like I'll eventually make every other book free. This is like a third free. Maybe I'll make it a half free. But I'm keeping a little Trading Wisdom, But like I've tweeted out most of it anyway at one time or another. So it's also like these are a little bit harder to do. But anyway, check out the rest of that stuff. Trading Wisdom, the first 18 is great. Like the way the book is structured, like the ending one's a little bit more technical. I think like towards the the first third and then the second third is like trading psychology and risk management stuff. Like these are great. Let's take a look. No, we don't want to go there. We don't want to see what this guy has to say. We don't want to go there. View full playlist, okay? Like, what's the rush? Respect your funds. It's stuff about like, and these are like the quotes tie into this, but it's about explaining like its mentality and like just, how to deal with volatility, right? And just look at, this is trading psychology stuff. This is great. I'm actually super proud of this playlist. So definitely check it out. I might do a couple of more, but I've been working on making this playlist is my focus. I'm also recording the audiobook for Trading Journal. So I'm working on other stuff, and then I want to write new books. So great question. What's up, Michael? What's a good altcoin to buy if Bitcoin drops to 95K level? Well, that's an interesting question. What are the strongest charts? Right now, they're generally under pressure. Generally, altcoins are under pressure. Let's take a weekly look here. I mean, TRX probably would be the one that it's certainly on my panic buy list because of the relative strength it's had and the longevity of that relative strength. Okay. Interesting question. I had a great question. So let me jump into that. That was a great question, Maddie. So let's just look here. So nothing looks too great. See, a bunch of these have lost momentum, and like just a big breakdown for Sui high time frame. Maybe BNB. Like BNB is one of the better looking charts. It's going to be up there with TRX in terms of relative strength. XRP is trying to hold on here at $2. So there's a really interesting question from Maddie. Maddie says, Cheds, I saw your retweet on Axel's dot chart. Worth the risk reward, maybe. It's an interesting question, but I think that's the wrong mentality, right? I think it's the wrong mentality, right? This is a guy who, and by the way, this is one of my colleagues at Bitcoin Live, and he actually like helps write the CMT textbook. Like this guy is legit, right? He's a legitimate professional. I'm just having fun, right? I've just read I've just done the work, but this guy's the real deal in any case. So this is the chart, and it says like, it risks breaking down. Be careful. I find it fascinating, Maddie, that the question is, I find it fascinating. The question is, is this maybe worth the risk reward? I feel like that's a bad mentality. You shouldn't see something that looks so bad and think maybe that's a good opportunity, right? You want to buy a dip in an uptrend. If anything, you would take a short here in the breakdown. Or you take a short if this bounces back to whatever that level is, 540. Like you should not get into a position where you see a really bad chart, because that's the thing. It leads you, and I'm just not picking you. This is an example. It leads you to be holding onto a chart that's bad, and then it fails to bounce, and you keep adding more as it's going down, thinking, well, it's probably worth the risk here, because if this is the bottom, If this time, right? If this is the bottom, I'm in great shape. You can't do that. It has to be defined risk. It has to be every time you're risking your hard-earned money, anytime you're putting any kind of funds into play. I mean, it's got to be based on riding a trend, like buying a dip in an uptrend or a rip in a downtrend. There's just no world where I think you'd want to go long in this. This is like on the precipice. So is it a good risk reward? No. Unless you're shorting it, then this is actually a pretty good risk reward for a short, because you don't really have to stick around for any kind of meaningful damage to invalidate your trade, right? Any kind of recapture of these potentially lost support levels would be the kind of sign that it's going to continue to chop and maybe even put in a lower high to here at like whatever, like 450 or something. So in terms of risk to reward for a short, yes, but for a long, no. And why short? Because you're trading with the trend. Again, you want to trade with the trend, okay? Great question. What a great question, Maddie. Thank you so much. So Anne also asked, when are you going to do the next masterclass? I'm actually right now preparing for the next masterclass. I'd like to do it this year. There's a pretty good chance I will. You say, oh, well, Cheds, why don't you just do it? No, I'm literally going to make a list of like 100 things I want to cover. So I can, because I made a lot of this stuff to make my life easier. When people ask me like, how do I do this or what's this? I can like point them to like the one, that's why I started with the my original blog was like, I was getting so many repeat questions. It's funny. It's been everything I've done is an evolution of me trying to help as many people and save myself time. I mean, it's altruistic. It's not completely altruistic. I mean, I'm like, I want more efficiency in my life. So I create these learning resources. So I'm going to do another masterclass. And my plan actually should be really good in this next masterclass is talk about, the 2021 peak and what I saw, right? Because I did the last video right around here. What I saw, marking the bottom and all the important pivots on the way up, because it's been a really interesting ride to get all the way from, the long signal 18.5 up to here, 100K, 110K, right? So I'll do another masterclass. That's another thing that I have in the queue, right? That I want to do. I'm also researching for the poker and trading book, right? Anyway, so let's see. Let's do some great questions. Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm kind of rambling today. It's great to have you folks. What's happening with ADA? It is in a momentum breakdown. Wanted to see it hold, 74 cents, didn't happen. Needed to see it hold at 60 cents. You should be full risk off, in my view. I don't think you should have long exposure here right now. I don't think you should have long exposure here right now. So I would probably just avoid it. It's similar to kind of XLM. See that similar momentum breakdown here? We're tracking the descending triangle. That's now breaking down. And with anything, here's an example of like an invalidation where my view was descending triangle. Here you got to check that thesis. Should the price should the price have bounced? Why am I having trouble? Should the price have bounced here rather than breaking down and flipping this lower high? Then I'd really be rethinking a bear thesis, right? So with anything, you're always kind of drawing. You want to kind of draw your way out for any idea. So ADA's breaking down, XLM's breaking down. I think you have to be incredibly careful, chart by chart, look for relative strength. We're seeing, SOL now, flirting with a loss of a major level, an important level, the peak of this base, the W with the lower low, held on the throwback, held on the throwback, held on the throwback again. So given the incredible price response in this area, we know how important this level is. Now it's, flirting with a breakdown. Sui flirting with a further momentum breakdown after the momentum loss up here around 370. So you got to be incredibly careful. Loving your frequent streams. Thank you, Sniff. Now it's just this week. I am going back to twice a week. I have a million projects and things I'm trying to do in my life, but I have a huge library for you. So even when I'm not streaming, please, enjoy all the videos that I have for you. And those watching on Twitter, thanks for hanging out. Head over to YouTube, say what's up, join the chat room. All right. R says, do you think the Bitcoin top is already in or just summer chop? I think it's hard to call a top here. I mean, to call a top, how can you call a top? Look at this weekly chart. It's by definition stage one uptrend in the sense that it's price above a rising EMA 8. And with this incredible distance, price distance to a rising MA 200, and a pretty good slope to the rising 200 as well. So there's plenty of strength, essentially still above the prior peak. There's no way to call top yet, right? We certainly know we're consolidating. I mean, so it's doing what we thought it would do, or at least what I thought it would do, in my work and in my stuff. So we're clearly just consolidating. Now, in terms of the top, I mean, talk to me about the MA50 and the weekly. That's been the kind of panic by the dip level. 88.5 is, for me, the last level that needs to hold should 96 get tested and fail. And this is zone, not a number, right? And should 100K get tested and fail? Because again, we haven't even tested that. So any kind of bear thesis before you've even had even a minor local breakdown, which would be 100K, there's simply no way to call top. Any kind of top now is not based on available information, right? It's based on a projection of what might happen. Maybe some bounded oscillator divergence or even a moving average cross. I mean, that's fine. Something like that. But I mean, I'd posit that we're in a bit of a sideways environment. So what do I mean by that? A moving average cross here would have made a much bigger deal than it does now, whatever, like 10 days later, okay? 2-3 weeks later, right? A moving average cross would have been a much bigger deal here, because you want a moving average cross in a trending environment. Here, the 8 couldn't even cross the 20. They're kind of chopping now, they're sideways together. It's sideways. So moving average crosses have limited value, right? Moving average, I talk about this in Moving Average Basics and Trading Wisdom, and you can read it in any textbook of your choice. The whole point is you need a trend to reverse, right? And that's why moving average cross in the sideways. So even that, like I think I saw someone tweeting it out, and I think it's reasonable, but it's still caveated in that it's just not as strong a signal here as it might have been back here, where you would have had a kind of a sharp drop after the loss of trend. Instead, you've kind of just held support while it's consolidated thus far. So can't really call top yet. Great stream today. Hope everybody's enjoying it. Maybe I'll do a spaces later. I think I'm going to go for a bike ride first. That's what the wife wants to do. Just to quickly remind everyone, Bitcoin Live, I'm a founding analyst. It's been 7 years. We've been providing wonderful content to the community, and this is my team, and I'm proud of my team. You can sign up now for like 3 months for 97, which is crazy. When you join, you can go back and watch, 7 years of videos, and I encourage you to kind of go back and see how I have covered major market moments and got some things right, got some things wrong, right? Did my best, but there's a lot of value. It's timeless content. So check it out. And because the tools, right, used in those moments will be very helpful going forward. So definitely take advantage of that. Phil Shark says, if anyone hasn't seen Cheds Masterclass, it's an absolute must watch. Thank you. Very much appreciate you. That's, of course, Masterclass tutorial list. I mean, there are a couple more requests just for fun. Hype. Yeah, I mean, I like hype for sure. It's hard not to like hype. Oh, interesting though. Okay, first MA50 tag. I've been watching the MA20. Look at that. And I tweeted it out a couple times. Look at the MA20, which is the brown line, the middle Bollinger. So this is kind of the first kind of medium retracement, but drop back to local lows. I like the pace. Here's the thing. I like the pace of this drop rather than this pace here. I like the quick pace, upper to lower Bollinger Band, MA50 first tag, confluence, local lows. I mean, that's reasonable actually. $32. This is actually reasonable right now. Very much reasonable. So that's a very simple type of setup. What would you do then? However, how do you actually execute? Well, you got to look for structure. If you're going to use something like that, if you're going to say the price is interacting with a key level, you got to drop to low time frame when the price is at a key level. And I think in this moment, I think you got to start with minimally some recapture of lost support, rather than, for me, in my technique, rather than just aping in or whatever you want to call it. If you simply wait for a minor bounce, at least above 33.10 or something, it allows you to better define your risk because your thesis now becomes a recapture of loss support and a momentum pivot when the price is at a key level in the daily chart and you can articulate a clear thesis, right? That's what I mean, it's kind of what I talk about in the trading journal, right? This kind of thing, like how to define your idea, how to journal it. And the big thing, folks, about, I don't know how many of you use a trading journal. It helps you become more mindful. You stop and you're thinking, how am I feeling? Or it just makes you slow down and check yourself a little bit, which is incredibly important. Andrew, what's up, man? Okay, let me see. Folks, and if I miss you in the chat room, it's just me. And sometimes I'll riff on one question for like 10 minutes. So I'll try to get you next time, and I'll, spaces and just hit me up. Okay. Andrew says, okay, if you had to pick one thing to hold for 5 years, Bitcoin. What's the next question? Now, other than Bitcoin, I actually think in my mind, I don't know if it would be better to hold Ethereum or BNB. I might actually think of BNB as being, I mean, if I compare the charts, I mean, I could pull up BNB ETH, and maybe that's instructive, but this is definitely a better weekly chart than Ethereum right now, right? Right? I don't even mean I could pull it up, BNB ETH pair, but I can just look at it and see it. Right? I mean, or we can just pull it up so you can actually see what not everybody like can see what I see, right? I'm not saying it that way, but it's my own muscle memory, right? Or my own style. So looking at BNB versus Ethereum, right? What does it mean? BNB's better than Ethereum, weekly chart. It's an uptrend, price above a rising uptrend. Okay, so that would be a good answer, Andrew. I would say Bitcoin and then BNB would be probably, if I had to pick something for 5 years, and for there to be a chance, I think there's a pretty solid chance BNB is still around in 5 years. I mean, I'm sure these will be around, but like Cardano, I mean, or like Filecoin, maybe even like a worse example. Like, what are these things going to be in 5 years? Maybe like Dogecoin's probably still at 30 cents, right? Like, who knows? Maybe it's a little bit higher. Maybe it's $1 or something. But it's not great. It's just certainly not terrible, but certainly not great. Not great. So you also want to know about gold. Yeah, let's take a look at gold. Thank you to everybody watching on Twitter, on YouTube. Those on Twitter, now we're replay. Just so you know, if you go to YouTube, which is Cheds Trading, and you just you can join the chat and just ask me a question, and there you go. So what do I think? What's the question? How I interpret the daily candle on gold? This daily candle, there's not much to interpret. Is that a bullish dragonfly doji? No, I mean, you're thinking too much. It's too much. It's too much. There's isn't much like, okay. So like I'd be more interested in a doji at the lower Bollinger Band. I'd be more interested in a doji or a hammer. Here's what a doji would look like, right? And here's what a hammer would look like, right? You want that reversal candle at the lower Bollinger Band. Like whether this is a doji or a spinning top or a hammer, it's irrelevant. It's a small range candle. Just MA20 tag, middle of the channel, generally stair-stepping. You've got rising demand structure. I don't know that you need to interpret this candle. I don't know that it matters, is how I see it. I get the question, it's a good question, but I just don't, what does it matter? So yeah, it's just middle of the channel tag, rising demand, price versus SMA 50. Just look at the general structure. And for me to kind of start looking at a candlestick and interpreting it, gotta give me a lower Bollinger, give me a move to the lower Bollinger. I mean, this is nothing. There's nothing that's happened here for me to need to overanalyze a candlestick, okay? So it doesn't really tell you much, okay? We talked about, sure, let's talk about SEI. We'll do that one. Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, I think I had it on the list, and I must have just removed it. Okay. All right, folks. What do I think about SEI? It's kind of interesting. I mean, the volume is interesting. That's accumulation. And you might even see a mild divergence here with the OBV, with the OBV rising. Let me just take a look. I assume you would. There it is, right? But, I mean, it doesn't really matter because you clearly need to recapture 27, 28 cents, okay? Everything in here is a bounce in a downtrend and, in fact, a potential short setup. Should the price find a way, even with this a little bit of accumulation, even with, okay? Should the price get a little bit higher, 26, 27, 28 cents, I think you start to look for a short. It is a downtrend. It is below loss support. It has lower high structure. Beneath a falling MA200, by definition, a downtrend, and you have a bounce in a downtrend, even a little bit of candle weakness here in this candle, which 3 hours left, right? So I'd almost want to see this kind of come a little bit higher and then see if it can short. And what's nice about that is you don't hold on forever. You certainly would not hold that short above like 29 cents or something, right? When you have the closer your price is, your entry is to the invalidation, you know, the easier it is to pull the trigger and to manage your risk. All right, folks, thank you. Thanks for letting me rant for a while about the chart. I'm super active this week. This is going into the quick market updates on YouTube. I have published 4 books. The new book is out, The Trading Journal. People love it. The reviews are in why you should use a trading journal, how to fill one out, what goes into it, risk, emotional management. And it's essentially, it's a workbook too. It's set up for you to fill out, to learn from your mistakes. Bitcoin Live, just over 1 day left in the sale. We do it once a year, 3 months access for 97. It's pretty crazy. And I'm super proud of the team. This is, in my view, the best team in the world that studies crypto. And these are my great colleagues. I do a twice a week full market report. And you can count on that. You know, I haven't missed one in 6 years. Okay. And these are full market reports. I'm not just kind of goofing around here every Wednesday and Sunday night. Well, I'm actually goofing around here now. I'm having fun with you and we're about to dance, but Bitcoin Live, I'm not goofing around. In any case, I've created a huge library of free educational content on my YouTube. I encourage you to watch it. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you're a casual trader, if you're a serious trader, a lot of great stuff here for you. Including a new version of my 3rd book. So consider checking that out. If you're looking for somewhere to trade, check out Bing X. Of course, I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds. Love to hear from you. I really appreciate you, everybody, hanging out with me on a Saturday. Let's finish off with some music and Church of 8 Wheels. Cheds out. Be well, friends. Thank you.